We should have actually had you take a few shots of something before you watch this to kind of even it out so we look so weird. So anyway,
yeah,
I guess maybe we should start with how this isolation has affected you and your work and being separated from everybody all this time.
Yes. Well, when I started this body of work, we were in the full swing of this pandemic crisis, and of course everybody's stressed during this time, and for me to be able to paint, I really have to set my mind in a happy place, and in order to do so I really had to meditate in the morning. That was very important. Also I had to pray a lot for sure, and I had to practice some breathing exercises and also walking the dog, just to put my mind in a nice place. So that was important for me, because when I start painting I really need to have a good attitude, and that's how I start my work, even before putting my feet in my studio. So that was important to do these steps, you know, sure. Every morning I had to go.
And then once you start painting, don't you feel better?
Yes, then I am in my bubble, in my little world.
Well, we definitely feel better looking at the work. It's a very peaceful body of work. A lot of people ask us what this style is. How do you describe your style?
Well, I feel that my style is what I would call a contemporary impressionistic. Let me explain. Contemporary for me means something that is more modern, more abstract, and impressionist means giving an impression of instead of a copy of a scene. So that's how I call my work.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. I'm sure you guys have noticed that Monique's accent is a little different from what you would expect from Southern Tennessee, so maybe you can explain your background and how you've got this beautiful accent.
Right, so I'm originally from Montreal, Canada, so I am French-Canadian, and I always had, in my childhood, I always had a heart for art, so I knew in a very young age that's what I wanted to be, an artist, but life brought me to other things like graphic design, which was pretty close to be very artistic. And but in my 20s, I moved to the Caribbean, actually to the Cayman Islands, where I spent 10 years of my life there. And that's probably why I love so much the oceans and the blues. And another thing is that I met my wonderful husband while I was in the Cayman Islands, and so that was, you know,
it was
wonderful.
Perfect.
That was
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, he's a scuba instructor, so you both are very interested in
the
the water
water,
and moving by the
exactly.
water, and I think we can see the Caribbean impact on
Right.
it with those turquoise blues
And
greens.
eventually, my husband is from the States, so eventually we came back when with our family. We had a son, Thomas, who was watching. Hi, Thomas, and he's now 27. So And then my husband is from Johnson City, Tennessee, in the beautiful mountains of northeast Tennessee. Just very inspiring to paint.
I'm sure it is. And we've seen some of that in some of her more mountainous landscapes.
Yes.
But for this show, Monique was really interested in focusing on the ocean since we're right here on the coast. How did you start your painting learning process? I mean, did you go to school for it, or study with mentors?
Well, I did a college, I did fine art, but to be an artist, it takes more than just the regular art school in college. It's a lifelong learning process. I had to learn from wonderful teachers that took workshop with wonderful people. For example, one that really influenced my work is Guido Frick. I don't know if Guido's watching, but hey, Guido, thank you. And also another one, wonderful artist, also from Tennessee, is Kathy Odom. Wonderful, wonderful plein air artist, and I learned so much from her. But another one that really changed everything, the way I think, it's when I study in abstract. It's Audrey Phillips. I want to say, I don't know if she's watching, but I want to say hi, Audrey, and thank you so much. She's a wonderful artist and a wonderful teacher.
Well, you know, before we go too far, I wanted to make a note. Thank you. Big shout out to Southwest Art Magazine. We're so appreciative of them covering Monique's show. Beautiful article inside about her work and some of the paintings, some of which have sold that are in here. And you can check it out at your local newsstand, or we also have a link on our website and in the constant contact that was sent out. So thank you very much to Southwest Art. I guess when you were talking about abstract, something that I thought of is I've always heard from other artists that want to be looser in their style have said that sometimes painting in the abstract is more difficult than realism.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, I second that. It is very difficult to paint abstract because you don't have anything to go from. There's no images, so everything has to come from your imagination. So you have to have a really good design, really good underpainting. You have to have really develop a good technique to have a very wonderful, interesting abstract painting. So it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, you make it look easy, but I know it's not. I've tried. It's not easy. So you mentioned your technique. What is your technique? How do you get all these wonderful textures and shapes and
well, for example,
shadows?
Yeah, for example, in this work, if you notice, I have a lot of splashing. You can see some splashing in the sky. You can see some scratching. So it's a lot about the yin and yang effect, and that's what I learned in my abstract workshops. And also, my big secret is the underpainting. My underpainting is what you don't realize is the stage before that it looked like something, looked like a real mess. It was just a big, a crazy thing. In fact, if you look in the corner of this piece here, that is a part of my underpainting that I did not paint over. And you can see some really interesting texture here. I don't know if you can guess what it is. It's,
I know what it is because
okay, well,
we've practiced.
Right. Okay. So what it is?
It's bubble wrap.
It's bubble wrap. That's right. So yes, and so that's basically my technique. It's you have to basically see it to understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun. And
you have videos of your work and process, and we're going to try to get more of those onto our website.
I do have it on the YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, so you can see a little bit of the process.
That'd be great. Okay, I think maybe the next best thing to do is just kind of maybe do a tour of the pieces and talk about each one and how they differ.
One thing that I really like is I like to be curious and touch different things and put my hands in different medium, and this one is a oil and cold wax. So you basically mix the oil paint with cold wax, and you apply the paint with a striper. and just a dough scraper, basically.
A scraper?
A scraper,
Mm.
a dough scraper, you know, that you use in your kitchen.
Mm.
And there's a lot of textures, a lot of many layers. Again, it's all about the underpainting, and what you apply on the top is just the icing on the cake, basically. And a lot of fun texture that I use a comb for some of that texture. Those little lines here, those are with a comb. I use a skewer for making lines, and you see here all these lines. This is with a skewer that you do some kebab with.
Right.
And yeah, so a lot of layers. And also you will notice my work, I use a limited palette. That's another thing that I try to do, is to keep my color really close together. That really gives a unity to my painting, I feel like. That's probably what you, even though that I have different medium, like
Sometimes oil, sometimes acrylic.
and sometimes oil and cold wax, then there's a unity in my work because of this underpainting technique and all the scratching and the splashing, and that's what I like to do, and you will find that in all my work.
Well, I think it really makes you feel coastal. The weathered look, you have the feeling of the mist coming off of the water and the waves crashing and tumbling and breaking shells, and really, I think it works.
Yes, and one thing that I really want the viewer to feel like, I want to bring the minds of the viewer to escape in another world. I want to bring them in my happy place. In this actually body of work, I wanted to bring, the color blue was my main color that you will see through all my work. Blue is really the main color, but there's many hues and shade and tones of blue that I created, and the color blue really is a calm color for me. So I needed to be calm during this pandemic crisis. So blue really set me, put my mind set into a really calm position, so that I really like to play with that color during this time.
I think viewers are feeling that too. Your work's been really popular. Ever since you came in, you've been in, what, almost 2 years?
Yes.
And it's done really well, and it's very different from anything else I've seen in this area, and we're just really excited to have it.
And I just noticed when I came in that there's a nice big red duck under this one, which is always very exciting when you start a show that you have. Actually, there's another one that's sold here already. So that's very exciting to start the show with 2 nice sales. So thank you again
Of course.
for the salespeople. And actually, thank you for Tim. You don't see him, but he's the one who's holding the camera. And we're very thankful for him. And
if Kathleen were here, she would point out that she also sold several at Sandpiper Gallery where they were delivered before we put them here. So a few went out the door. We didn't ask.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
a few were already going out the door.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to do a close-up here on this one, you will notice this crackled effect that's called crackled paste. And it's a lot of fun to play with. I discovered that about a year ago, and I love to do this sandy beach, like it looked like a cracked, dry sand. And I really like to do that in my paintings. Yeah.
You know, how do you know when it's done? When you're doing abstract, it seems like it would be even harder to know when it's done.
That's a good question. A lot of people ask me that question, and what the answer I have actually for my students is you stop before you think you're done. So that's a good advice, and I try to follow my own advice. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you need somebody else behind you who pull your hand, so that's it, you're done.
Right.
But when I really know that I am done, it's when I start overpainting. I paint over a nice swatch that I had, and it's now covered. So, and I'm very disappointed, of course. Or if I start painting with too much details, then I know I have to stop. Another thing that I do is I photograph all my steps, step by step. I do photograph, so I know when I overpaint,
Oh,
And
that's interesting.
So,
you can go back and say,
yes,
hey.
and I would recommend to my students to always photograph all the steps so you know your progress through the painting.
Well, that is a wonderful tour that we got, a quick tour.
Yes.
Tim, if you want to do one more pan of the artwork. And I would just like to thank everybody for tuning in, and make sure you check our website. We do have this entire collection on her exhibits page, and then there's more of Monique's work if you just go directly to her painting page, and that's at daregallery.net. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being a part of our first Facebook Live, and we hope you have a good evening. Oh, by the way, Tim said to mention that you can order online now.
Yes.
So you can put in your credit card number and we will get it right out to you.
What's the website address?
Daregallery.net. DareGallery.net. Thank you guys. Bye.